ver cómo son ya.
I don't know if it buses right here. Or did he move it?
They have strawberry
That's what you hear.
I heard you say your favorite's cherry, and I was like, well, I was gonna get a cherry anyway, so.
Yeah, well, that's where I would have carried it too.